Okay, it's rolling. So Fiona, when you're ready.
Okay, I'm going to learn to fly a helicopter on Graham's flight sim. I'm Graham's wife. It's not an ambition of mine, but he's really nagged me to do it so he can make a course to prove that even a stupid woman like me can learn to fly a helicopter. That's the nub of what you're saying, Graham. Okay, I'll play along with it. I don't really want to do it, but I will play along with it. And we'll see how long it takes someone even as idiotic as me to get to grips with it. And if I can do it, anyone can do it.
You've been in a helicopter before though, haven't you?
Yeah. We went in a helicopter in Cannes. It was a big fancy helicopter, and it was €45 each or something like that. Spur of the moment. The whole family went up in that. That was really cool.
How long did you go up for?
12 minutes. We went up for 12 minutes, and the pilot, I was really impressed with him. I sat behind him, cool as a cucumber, and very, very smooth takeoff and landing. And Will Smith was in the helicopter before us, apparently, presumably going from Nice airport to Cannes, maybe, or to the island where all the movie stars go on holiday. When they go to the film festival, they stay in a big sort of castle manor house thing on a bit of a peninsula or island or something.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So you've done your first hour.
Did you want the TV
Day
on?
one? No, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
Yeah, done an hour in 3 segments. It feels like you've got it, and then it goes really badly wrong.
Did you crash?
Yeah.
How many
Several
times?
times. Well, it depends what you class as a crash, really, because, I did 3 proper crashes.
Rolling over and bursting into flames.
No,
would be a
I
crash,
think I had a bit of smoke on the second time.
Yeah, okay.
But this one, yeah. But every time I land, it goes...
That's when you land a bit hard. Yeah, you try to avoid that.
Well, I have tried to avoid that.
Yeah. It's just practice.
I find it really useful that we're doing it at Shoreham Airport, because I'm familiar with Shoreham Airport. It really threw me at Brighton Racecourse, because it's not a very nice piece of land. There's a big drop on one side and there's a main road at the other.
Okay. Well, we'll just stick to Shoreham then, yeah?
Yeah, Shoreham's nice and big, nice and easy.
So, getting into your head for tomorrow, we're going to do the H again. Okay, we're going to do hover taxiing, which means that we hover along the taxiway really low and slow.
I did do a bit of that today. I think you'll see that in the film.
So,
I followed a line.
Yeah, that's great. Go up the taxiway, turn round, come back down the taxiway, then go back to the H. And then try and land on the H again, take off, turn around, go back down the taxiway, come back to the H, land on the H again. And that's it. That's all you got to do. There's nothing complicated about it. It's just getting used to it. Yeah. And we'll talk about the avoidance curve. Helicopters do not like hovering, okay? Everyone thinks they do, but they don't. And the higher you are in the hover, the more dangerous it becomes, okay? And we'll talk about that in a later. So the only time you're hovering at stationary is when you're just above the ground. Because you could probably survive if you hit the ground from there, okay?
Right. Okay.
Well done. Congratulations, day 1. Day 2. Okay, Fiona, tell me about day 2.
It's really difficult. I'm finding this really difficult. I think I was worse today than yesterday, actually. Although the thing I've managed to get a bit of a grip of today is I didn't know that you have to adjust the collective constantly. I thought you just took off and that's it, and you want to go a bit higher, and then later on you can take your hand off it.
Well, you can when you're flying long distance.
Yeah, and I've discovered that it's really when you're quite near to the ground that you've got to be on it, and you've got to think a bit ahead of it. If you feel the helicopter going down, then up a bit, and they are tiny movements. And then once I could control that was a lot easier, because before I was just going up like 100 feet, thinking, how come? But then I've sort of lost control of the other things a bit. And let me think what else there was that I learned today. I'd managed to land it a few times without that horrible noise, so I was quite pleased about that. And also I've watched back the video from the outside of the helicopter, so now when I take off, I know not to pull the stick back quite so far because it was like hitting the tail rotor before I'd even taken off. And they are really, really tiny movements. I felt today I haven't done a complete hour because I was just getting frustrated and angry. I think I need to leave it another 24 hours for my brain to absorb what I've learned. I was getting a bit of over-exhausted doing it. Or maybe I should have done shorter bits because today they were longer. I should have just done 10, 12 minutes and not like a full 20 minutes. And also, I think that if I can master this, by the end of it, I think anyone who learns to fly on a flight sim is better than an actual helicopter pilot who learned on a real helicopter. And I know that's going to sound really insulting to helicopter pilots, but I don't care, because you don't have on your joystick, or whatever it's called, the cyclic, you don't have these extra trigger buttons that you do on a flight sim where you press it and the entire helicopter vanishes and you're just like in the air with a very small green thing. Or, even worse, apparently there's another button you hit, and I don't even know which one it is or how I did it. I was up with the rotary blades. Now that's never going to happen to a real helicopter. But that can happen in flight sim, and it's like, whoa, I'm at a really critical moment. I was just about to land without crashing, and I'm up by the rotary blades. I'm checking the roof of the helicopter. So helicopter pilots have got it easy compared to this, because you've now got to get used to, and there's also buttons which you'll suddenly be in a passenger seat, or you're disorientated, and where you're looking forward is actually out of the side window. So you find yourself flying like that. Real helicopter pilots like Prince William, easy compared to this. This is a nightmare. So if you can learn on this, you are way better. Unless Prince William or Prince Harry learned on a flight sim like that, and I don't think they did. I think wallop straight in a real thing, then you're going to be a better helicopter pilot. And I hope I will be able to crack it, but it takes a bit of perseverance, and it is like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. I think, oh yeah, I've really got that, I'll do that again. Oh right, okay, I crashed. And the other thing is, with the recording, if I crash really badly, which I did, I actually skidded off the airfield, through the forest, across a motorway and into Lancing College. Then it sets you back to where you were, but you've lost all the footage, the good stuff that I did before. So you have to start again. So now I'm really stressed and painfully aware that I mustn't totally crash the helicopter. I can have a bit of a landing, that's all right. But if I completely crash it, I end up back at this particular place in the airfield, and I think, everything I just did for 10-15 minutes, that video's now been lost. So there is a little bit of pressure there now, almost like it's the real thing. And hats off to real helicopter instructors, because they must just live off their nerves and worry how the owner's going to shout at them that they let the student ding the tail rotor, or bend the skids, or spanked into an aircraft hangar. So I have a lot of respect for helicopter pilots now, which I didn't before. The instructors, because they were always like, Inshore, there was like, I'm really good looking, I've got gold bars, I'm a helicopter instructor. They were like the top of the food chain, helicopter instructors. And now I think they've earned that. So I can't remember your names, but whoever you are, I'm really impressed. Oh, well, Lofty, I remember Lofty, of course. He was my helicopter instructor. I had 3 lessons in a real Robinson, and it was a complete disaster. So that's why I wasn't that keen on doing the flight sim helicopter, because I just don't think I'm the sort of person who can do it. Can't ride a bicycle.
Almost we're running right now. This is the base price for a Mac.
Did really well there, Kitty.
This is
Did
insane.
not enjoy that, Graham.
You got it down. Oh dear.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You're sweating now, aren't you?
I don't like heights and I hate flying. I don't know if I mentioned that before.
Yeah, he did. You're not really flying, Dolly. You're sitting in a chair at home.
It's really realistic though.
No, it's not. This picture almost are running right now. This is the base price for a Mac.
Did really well there, Kitty.
This
I did
insane
not enjoy
Mac.
that, Graham.
You got it down. Oh dear.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You're sweating now, aren't you?
I don't like heights and I hate flying. I don't know if I mentioned that before.
Yeah, he did. You're not really flying, Dolly. You're sitting in a chair at home.
It's really realistic though.
No, it's not. This picture.
Okay, go on. Day 3.
Okay. I'm still shaking. I really didn't, and it's so weird because I could have just took it off and got up, but it is a lot more realistic than you think. To explain how I met Graham in the first place was at Shoreham Airport, and I went to Shoreham Airport to learn to fly, to try and overcome my fear of flying. Now when I was a kid I loved flying, I really loved it. All through my teens I loved flying, and into my 20s until, oh it's raining again, I'll get the umbrella.
Okay, go on. Day 3.
Okay, I'm still shaking. I really didn't, and it's so weird because I could have just took it off and got up, but it is a lot more realistic than you think. To explain how I met Graham in the first place was at Shoreham Airport, and I went to Shoreham Airport to learn to fly, to try and overcome my fear of flying. Now when I was a kid I loved flying, I really loved it. All through my teens I loved flying, and into my 20s until, oh it's raining again, I'll get the umbrella.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, to overcome my fear of flying, I'd gone to Shoreham, and what brought on my healthy fear of flying was a really bad experience. My parents lived in the Outer Hebrides and I had to land at Stornoway, and it was horrific. It bounced all the way down the runway, but I was assured by the cabin crew, who were lobbing out miniatures of whiskey to calm everyone down. I mean, no one was screaming, but there were white knuckles all around, and they said that was a good landing at Stornoway. And I'd only just arrived, and then I realised I've got to take off from this place. Outer Hebrides is a bit windy a lot of the time. So that was my fear of flying, and then I thought, well, if I learn to fly in the theory of how an aeroplane works, I won't be so terrified. And I did have a couple of lessons, and it was all going well, but they were very expensive, and my mate who I was learning with, he heard about Graham, who was a lot cheaper. So when we first met Graham, he said, oh, bring your girlfriend with you. And he said, she's not my girlfriend and she doesn't like flying. And he was trying to prove to my mate how safe the plane is and everything. So, and there were no jacks in the back of the plane, I had to sit in the back, and a jack is a plug for the headphones, so I couldn't communicate with the others in the front. And to prove how safe it was, it just, over Worthing Beach, the sea, this noise started going, which is a stall warner, and it was just Graham telling my mate, the plane's got a stall warner, see this is what happens. I didn't know what was going on, so I was just dripping with sweat and terror in the back of the plane, and it just made the situation worse. Now I take it all back, Graham, laughing at you for the last couple of years while you've had this flight sim, like, every time we say, oh, do you know Can, or do you know that? Oh, I've been there on my flight sim, and we're like, you haven't been there. And it is really, really realistic. It obviously is a bit grainy, it's not quite like real life, but it's good enough to trick the sensory. So I'm overcoming my fear of flying again. And learning to fly a helicopter at the same time as being in lockdown and being a little bit stressed, and rationing my cigarettes as well, so that was quite a lot to take on board. We'll see if we make it to day 4.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, to overcome my fear of flying, I'd gone to Shoreham, and what brought on my healthy fear of flying was a really bad experience. My parents lived in the Outer Hebrides and I had to land at Stornoway, and it was horrific. It bounced all the way down the runway, but I was assured by the cabin crew, who were lobbing out miniatures of whiskey to calm everyone down. I mean, no one was screaming, but there were white knuckles all around. And they said that was a good landing at Stornoway. And I'd only just arrived, and then I realised I've got to take off from this place. Outer Hebrides is a bit windy a lot of the time. So that was my fear of flying, and then I thought, well, if I learn to fly in the theory of how an aeroplane works, I won't be so terrified. And I did have a couple of lessons, and it was all going well, but they were very expensive, and my mate who I was learning with, he heard about Graham, who was a lot cheaper. So when we first met Graham, he said, oh, bring your girlfriend with you. And he said, she's not my girlfriend and she doesn't like flying. And he was trying to prove to my mate how safe the plane is and everything. So, and there were no jacks in the back of the plane. I had to sit in the back, and a jack is a plug for the headphones, so I couldn't communicate with the others in the front. And to prove how safe it was, it just, over Worthing Beach, the sea, this noise started going, wah, 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 which is a stall warner, and it was just Graham telling my mate, the plane's got a stall warner, see, this is what happens. I didn't know what was going on. So I was just dripping with sweat and terror in the back of the plane, and it just made the situation worse. Now I take it all back, Graham, laughing at you for the last couple of years while you've had this flight sim. Like, every time we say, oh, do you know Can, or do you know that? Oh, I've been there on my flight sim. And we're like, you haven't been there, and it is really, really realistic. It obviously is a bit grainy. It's not quite like real life, but it's good enough to trick the sensory. So I'm overcoming my fear of flying again. And learning to fly a helicopter at the same time as being in lockdown and being a little bit stressed, and rationing my cigarettes as well. So that was quite a lot to take on board. We'll see if we make it to day 4. Okay, I'm feeling a lot happier today. I really, really want to get the helicopter to go where I want it to go, and the movements are so tiny. You don't even know you're doing it more and more. They become more and more slight, and then all of a sudden it goes pear-shaped again. But today is the first day I've actually enjoyed this. Graham was going, are you coming for your helicopter lesson? And I'll just do the washing up, and all of a sudden I'm dead keen on cleaning and stuff like that. And I've just got another thing. And then Kaiser, my friend, phoned, and that was another excuse to delay it. And I thought, oh, it's going to be like the longest 12 minutes of my life, like all the other days. But actually it went quite well. Not perfect. I'm down to 3 crashes a day now. So we'll have to see if we get to no crashes. And I spent some time, so anyone learning, in like a big open space, because as soon as I get near things or I've got a target like an H, it just goes to pop. I feel so under pressure. As soon as the helicopter starts drifting somewhere I don't want it to go, then I overreact. So I thought I'll just be in the middle of the airfield and get this blooming helicopter to hover and stay where I want it to go. And I discovered something interesting. The cyclic stick, I started to think of a disc being on my head, and if I push forward we're going that way, but we can go that way, a bit like a fairground ride. So it's not just a forward, back and left and right, which I was thinking before. You can actually think, oh, bloody thing hasn't turned, well, we'll just go sideways a bit and adjust it. And that really, really helped, and I feel I cracked that. Sort of, I can improve on that as the days go on. And I even managed to land in the car park at Transair, which I'm quite pleased about, but then did another bit and that went pear-shaped. Managed not to fly into the building after all that, and avoided dinging the tail rotor really badly. So if you are doing this, stick with it, and Graham's right, you can learn to do this in 6 hours, because I've done 3 hours and 13 minutes now. So I'm just past the halfway mark, and honestly, if I can crack this, like I said, I can't even ride a bicycle. I just can't, not without stabilisers. I'm just one of those people. I might give it a try after this, if I can get the helicopter. But there is hope. Don't give up on it. Keep going, even if you find it really frustrating. And if you get to a point where you've done something really well, and then you do something really bad and you've lost the plot, put it down, because your brain needs time to consume the information that it's learned, and it just means I'm overtired, I'm overloaded, I can't take any more in. So walk away from it for an hour or two and then go back. Because last night I did have nightmares about aeroplanes crashing and stuff, but I started to think about how I was really digesting it. My brain was thinking about how a helicopter moves. So I think 6 hours is quite quick to learn to fly a helicopter. I think if you do your rotary private license, how many hours do they normally?
Oh, it's 40, but it involves a lot more than just handling.
Oh right, you have to air
I'm
law
talking
and
about just
navigation.
handling, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know how much of the lessons when you actually learn to fly a helicopter, how much of the hour is actual air time. I think a lot of it's a briefing before, briefing afterwards.
Maybe.
Day 4, isn't it?
5.
Is it day 5?
Yeah.
The time went by a lot quicker today, and I was really focusing today on several things. One, not gripping the cyclic and the collective with grim death and flexing all the muscles, and it's like that, because I'm convinced that doesn't help. And I did actually manage to relax a bit, but then as soon as it starts going pear-shaped again, there's a bit of tension, and then that makes it worse. The other thing I was trying to do was stay still and really work the cyclic, because it's causing a downdraft. There's going to be a delayed reaction in reality, I'm sure. And there is a delayed reaction, like you let the power off and it's going a bit too fast, so you bring it up a tiny bit, up and down. So I was trying to do that. I managed to land on the other end of the numbers, finally. I don't know why. I can land on the numbers at one end of the runway, but not the other. And I crashed, but only once today. I left the airport to be brave, got down to Shoreham Chimney and crashed somewhere down Basin Road South. And I managed to fly inside the airport building without crashing, and I landed quite nicely in there. I thought that was quite funny, the tail rotors sticking out of the back of the building. And it's not really realistic, that, because the building's a lot larger than that inside. I'm sure it is. I think it could fit lots of helicopters inside it. And the old airport manager, John Haffenden, would be horrified, I'm sure. If you're watching this, John, hi. That I'm feeling a lot more confident. It's getting a bit easier. I thought I'd be like really way better today than yesterday, but only a little bit better than yesterday. So I'm obviously on a curve of some sort. My 2 things I cannot do. I can't stop the helicopter going forwards. And when I'm hovering low, I pull the cyclic back and then I ding the tail rotor. So I've got to perfect stopping the helicopter. And Graham was quite horrified at me leaving the airport and coming back over the A27 with no airspeed at all and hovering more or less at that height and going very, very slowly. So he wants me to learn to fly more quickly, which I don't want to do because I can't stop the darn thing. And also, when I'm at great height, I just can't descend, and I'm not good enough to look at the dials. I'm just in a blind panic. I've got to get down nearer to the ground. So that's quite a lot I've got to learn, and we're on day 5, and I've got day 6. How many hours? I don't think I've got many hours left to go. I think I've done about an hour today.
You've done 4 hours, 19 minutes.
4 hours, 19 minutes. So I've got 1 hour, 40 minutes more or less to get this cracked.
Yeah.
And if I can't, then I'm a moron.
I wouldn't say that.
I was saying on the thing, Ben was laughing at me last night. He's horrified that it's taking me so long. It took him 30 minutes to lick flying helicopters on the flight sim. But he's a kid and he's on the consoles and the gaming PC, and his reactions are like lightning fast. Got a brain like a sponge.
Oh, you're sitting comfortably. There you go.
Yeah, I am. I'm really, really pleased. I've just done Tower Bridge and I was sweating so much. Graham put me in Docklands. They must have a little airport there or
London
something.
City Airport, yeah.
Oh, is that London City Airport?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So I took off from there and I was very panicky because I don't really like buildings, and as everyone's probably gathered by now, Shoreham Airport is my my thing. And I don't know London very well either. And I managed to follow the squiggly Thames. And really important, because I got it like nice and stable, I took a glance at how high I was, how fast I'm going, and then looking back, and I thought, right, nothing's going pear-shaped, because I didn't want to crash, because I think London City Airport's quite far for a helicopter. I have to start all over again. So I was really paying attention, and I could see my height going up, because you just can't judge it. I don't think you could judge it in a real helicopter, could you? Literally how high you are by a guess.
Yeah,
You can climb quite...
Not over water. It's very difficult over water, but over land, it's you can more or less.
Well, I have a lot of sensory overload on this thing, but I knew the bridge was coming up. I saw the shard, and I thought, oh, please, I just want to get the blades through. And I got through it really well, so I've made Graham do loads and loads and loads of different angles of that. And then the aim was to go to Buckingham Palace, and it all went pear-shaped at Big Ben. Didn't crash, but I was just thinking, don't crash, because you're going to lose all that magnificent flying through the bridge. And you have to start again, and you're never going to do it that perfectly again. I sort of went through the top of the buildings by Big Ben. I didn't hit Big Ben.
You mean Westminster Abbey?
Yeah, I think it might have been, it just looked like a lead roof.
Well, you'd have been popular.
And the Queen, right, the Queen of England, and I've been to Buckingham Palace, and I thought, garden's massive. It's not. When you're flying a helicopter, it's tiny, and it's covered in a forest. And there's only really it just looks like a little teeny weeny, I can't believe how small her garden is. But I managed to land, sort of. I didn't ding the tail rotor, but I came in really steep and fast, and Graham said, just skid it to a halt, and I skidded right across her lawn and through her palace and ended up on the road on the other side, but I didn't crash. And then I should have said to him, get the external footage, but I didn't. I took off and flew around her garden and her forest. And I went through the palace and tried to fly down the Mall, and I nearly crashed. I just lost the plot, and I thought, get this down now. I don't care if I ding the tail rotor, which I did, just get it down. And I was sweating so much. So that, I feel, that's the ultimate, because Graham, on all his flights and videos, he always flies big fast jets through Tower Bridge, and he's always bragging about it. And he's reset it now for me. He had to show off and land in the Queen's courtyard, which is even tinier. So I'm really pleased about that.
Well done, Fiona. It's a big day.